All right, welcome you guys to the Public Works meeting. Our regular chairperson, Jim Weber, is not available tonight, so Paul DeZiel from District 3 will be filling in. So we are here to start the meeting. Our first, we don't do a roll call here, do we? I don't think so. We're here. Approval of minutes. Anything that you saw in the minutes, Sarah?
I did not see anything that was not accurate, so I will make a motion to, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second the motion.
Okay. So we're both in favor?
Any discussion?
Oh, okay. No, I have no discussion. I have no discussion on it. Do you have any?
I do not.
Okay.
All in favor of approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes approved. Comments and suggestions from citizens present. I see we have a few folks here in the gallery, so would you guys like to step to the podium? Absolutely.
No, we're here for one of the items on the agenda.
Oh.
So I have to ask, is it permissible to speak to an item that's on the agenda?
It is tonight.
Hi, I'm Tim Hall, 1105 Maple Drive, Hudson, Wisconsin. I live on Chestnut Street and Maple, and I understand that one of the items under discussion tonight is the idea of a speed hump. I've been exposed to those in Minneapolis, worked on some projects that incorporated those. Chestnut Avenue, as you know, a lot of people use that to go back and forth to the high school and often the middle school as well. There's quite a bit of pedestrian and bicycle traffic there, and there are no sidewalks on either side of the street. So it seems to me we've instituted a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit. From what I can tell, that's not very well followed. And quite frankly, I find it annoying to try and drive 15 miles an hour. My car barely idles at that. So I would suggest that if we could look at something like speed humps, it might be a cost-effective solution as opposed to doing something like asking the residents to put in sidewalks. So I would be in favor at least investigating that option. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Joyce Hall, 1105 Maple Drive, also the District 6 representative to the City Council. And I'm here to talk about the speed humps on Chestnut as well. In canvassing the neighborhood, I've asked some of the residents what they thought of the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, and the people with children said it's about time that something was done about the speed. So they are concerned about the speed. They said, well, now we have to enforce it. So it's not practical to have a police officer there 24/7 to enforce the speed limit, so we need to do something else. And sounds like speed humps are a good thing to try there. And I would recommend that, yes, you approve the speed humps and send that to council. And then if we have an issue with the budget, I think that there is money in the contingency fund, the council contingency fund. So I would recommend that we check there first, and if not, we can find the money for it if we decide that they're necessary, and I think they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Any other comments? No comments? We'll move along to new business. Discussion and possible action regarding selection of an engineering consultant for preliminary and final design services for replacement of the Hagan Street Bridge and intersection of 11th Street and Cooley Road.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairperson, tonight. So as we've discussed last month, we solicited proposals from a number of engineering firms in regards to what you're talking about, replacement of the Hagan Street Bridge over I-94, and then also the associated intersection at 11th and Cooley, right next to Taco John's. We received 3 proposals, and based on our conversations last month, we invited all 3 engineering firms to do interviews to kind of select an engineering firm we feel would be the best fit for what we need to happen out there. So just a little bit of background, we brought together a number of staff, Paul, representative from Taco John's, and also representative from WSDOT's Bureau of Structures to serve on that selection committee. Additionally, we invited Randy Morissette, as a liaison for public safety, and Devin Pierno from the Bike Ped Committee. And both of them were unable to join us because of last minute things that came up. Life happens. So we thank you and also everybody else for agreeing to take the majority of that day to sit through the proposals and then weed through them and discuss them and everything. That's a time commitment for those of you who are not staff to have to be here for most of the day to do that, so we appreciate that. The other people in the room who are part of that committee can correct me if I'm wrong, but the feeling that we got from the selection committee after talking to everybody is that everybody sensed that the firms would technically be able to do the job at hand. So, engineering wise could prepare the plan specifications, dot the i's, cross the t's, and that kind of stuff. But we felt that the selection of Strand Associates made the most sense for the design work on the project. We felt that they balanced the various needs of the project. They came having done their homework with a lot of understanding of what the needs are out there and some creative solutions to potentially deploy to solve those problems. They were also lowest cost proposal, which wasn't necessarily, the thing that we were going for with it, but it's just a convenient that it happened to shake out that way. And so we have, we could talk about the proposals more in depth here tonight if anybody has any lingering questions about them, but staff recommends that we move forward with Strand Associates for selection of the engineering consultant. So after our discussion tonight, it will go to City Council on the next meeting to formalize that selection. So any questions or concerns or anything?
Nothing that I can think of. I saw the proposals. You guys did the interviewing. You did your due diligence. Everybody, and that was the consensus. I feel good with that then.
Yeah, I thought they had an excellent presentation. I thought they had the most detailed proposal as well. And so, yeah, I feel confident that they'll do a good job with that design. So, and really are open to public engagement and having, meetings with the public and I think process-wise as well as sort of the technical side, I think they're going to be a good firm to work with, so.
Did you get a sense on when those engagements would start, the public engagements?
I'd have to go back and look at the proposal, I think, but I think they want to come up with some schemas first. Is that right, Dean?
Yeah, so how this will work is that once it goes through council to officially select the consultant, then staff will sit down with them to formalize the agreement between us and them, and then also we can, kind of formalize the calendar, so to speak, and depending on how many meetings or what type of meetings or that kind of thing for public engagement we want to do, then that will affect, kind of what we have in the agreement and that kind of thing. So we'll, be working with that as we go through the agreement process. So if you have any thoughts or anything like that, we're certainly open to hearing that as we move forward with formalizing what we're doing for the project. But that doesn't have to necessarily happen tonight, but yeah, if you do have any thoughts or anything, we're all ears to hear those. So we just want to make sure that they're not outlandish, so we're staying within our, budget or anything like that. But
the biggest thing is just making a realistic timeline on their end, what they can get done. Because, for me, I'd love to get it done by, late spring, early summer, so we can start applying for the next round of infrastructure grants that are available in kind of the fall months. But it'll have to kind of be up to, there'll be some give and take between the city and them as far as putting the schedule down. But we'll get to that when we do sit down that initial meeting.
Any motion? Would you?
Sure. So I make the motion that we go ahead and approve or take it to council to recommend hiring Strand to pursue, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses, so I'm struggling to see this.
So for being selected for the engineering
Oh, for the,
consultant?
as our engineering consultant for the preliminary and final designs for the replacement of the Hagan Street Bridge and the intersection of the 11th Street and Cooley Road.
Second. Any discussion? All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, our next business item is the discussion of possible action on pursuing grant funding for future infrastructure maintenance projects.
Yeah, so we recently sat down with SEH, who we work with them a lot on kind of project planning stuff mostly. Just talk about grant funding potential for some of our projects, in particular the 5 that we had previously discussed that we got topo surveys done on earlier this summer. Just kind of get their sense as to what they've heard about the federal infrastructure, and then also just regular grant opportunities out there that would be applicable for some or all of these projects. So it was a very fruitful conversation. It was great to have that. So a few things that they suggested focusing on 2 to 3 of those projects. So just to focus your energies in one or a couple spots or something like that, and then essentially apply for anything that might relatively make sense for those projects. So that would be applying for the same project for multiple grant opportunities, which that was a little bit news to me that you could do that and not be docked for it or something like that. So that was good feedback to have happen too. Just with talking with Mike and others on staff, we kind of feel that the 2 to 3, we ended up with 3 projects, but ones that seem to make the most sense for us would be Carmichael Road from I-94 down to Riverview Drive, Cooley Road between 2nd and 11th, and then Vine Street between Wisconsin and Diamond as the projects to focus on. The other 2 for reference were 9th Street between St. Croix and Vine, and Stage Line Road between Coachlight and Darnold Drive. And so I listed in here a number of the various grant opportunities and kind of their deadlines and the cost share. I'm not going to go through all that, but I just want to inform you guys of those opportunities out there. We as staff feel that it's worth applying for any or all of these opportunities for anything that makes sense. Because it doesn't really take that much staff time to put this stuff together, and then even if you apply one year and don't get the funding, you essentially have the work done for the next time, that kind of thing. So STP Urban, the deadline is October 15th. That's probably the one coming up the soonest as far as like major programs go. The HSIP, which is Highway Safety Improvement Program, that is more of a small project, kind of like high bang for your buck kind of project. So for instance, the HSIP project would be like switching the stoplights on Carmichael from the protective permissive left turns, which they are right now, to like a arrow instead or something like that. So that doesn't cost a lot of money, but it's kind of more of they spread the funding out a lot more and hopefully get a lot of smaller projects done to improve safety out there. The TAP program is Transportation Alternatives Program. That would be mostly focused on multimodal improvements, so things like replacing trails, making pedestrian crossings safer, that kind of thing. And then the LRIP, that just stands for Local Road Improvement Program. There's a number of different pots of money involved with that that we could go after. It's 50-50 split, so it's not as much as the other ones are, but still worth pursuing, we feel like. And there's the one pot is specifically carved out for municipalities, so we'd be going for that. But there's also a pot of money that's called discretionary, which essentially communities across the state apply for. So that's kind of more like the bigger projects or ones that feel couldn't be funded with the money that's just available for the city. So there's city money, there's county money, there's town money, and there's this discretionary money essentially. So, so we feel that, you know, we have the capability between Mike and I to apply for these projects, and we feel it's worth it. We just wanted to run it by you guys to make sure that you guys are on board with that and the staff time that's involved with doing that, and then making sure that we're not missing anything or any other thoughts that you guys have. So we'll talk next about the future CIP, which kind of is involved with this too. But yeah, for now, any questions or thoughts on this?
So Dean, would the 3 projects would go toward, we would apply, or you would apply for all of these, or just certain ones, or how does that?
Certain ones, kind of depending on what they're tailored to. So like in particular, the TAP program, Transportation Alternatives, that is geared for non-motorized transportation stuff. So, you know, particular like Carmichael Road, or like the, you know, the pedestrian crossings on Vine Street that we applied for before. So like ones that have safety issues for non-motorized transportation, that's a program you kind of want to zero in on. If it's more general in scope, the STP or the LRIP is kind of more what we would go after. STP is 80% federal funding, and the LRIP is 50%. So it's kind of one or the other.
Just a couple things from my perspective to add. So the reason why we identified these 3 projects are a couple of different reasons. One, just pure traffic counts. You know, you're talking Carmichael, Cooley, and Vine Street, 3 of our arterials. Okay, so high traffic counts. Second thing is each one of the projects have a multimodal aspect to it, whether it's Vine Street and the pedestrian crossing there, Diamond and Vine, just the walking trail on the north side of Vine, getting between the schools, so on and so forth. Carmichael Road, the improvement there, off-street trail, trying to extend that all the way down to Rivercrest Elementary, and then Cooley Road with the St. Croix County Bike and Ped Plan, identified that as a major trail connection coming down the hill into downtown. So those are kind of the 3 reasons why we chose those 3 projects off the get-go. And then the second thing that I want to add is any one of these grant programs, you typically have a 2 to 3 year window to use up those funds. So even if we were to apply this year and receive them, we still have time to put that into our future CIP to fund our matches. So it's not that we have to like do everything next year. You know, there are where we can kind of stagger projects as they come on board. So that kind of helps you with the money game on the money side of it. So we can actually budget for these projects. They allow that time for us to do that. So.
So is this something that you're looking for a motion so that you move forward?
Yep, just direct staff to move forward with grant submissions for these projects.
And really, the biggest reason is that it's just your time to kind of pursue these, so, okay.
Yep.
Well, I will make the motion that we allow city employees to pursue grant funding for future infrastructure maintenance projects.
I would second, and then do you guys want it just toward those 3, just to clarify?
Well, I guess it would be helpful to see where you guys are at, if you would want us to just focus on those 3, or if you still want us to do all 5 that we had talked about previously, or focus on 1, or, you know, what are you thinking as far as?
I mean, I think the 3 make a lot of sense for the reasons Mike was talking about, so I just don't know if you want to put that in the motion.
Sure, do I need
Up to
to
3.
make, so can I just speak that so that Deb can add that in? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, so that would add in the Carmichael, the Cooley, and the Vine Street.
I would second that. Discussion?
No other discussion from me?
My only thought is, it's a great idea, you guys. I love these numbers, 80%, 20%, 90%, you know, from a federal to what we have to do. So these are great, fantastic. I love you guys pushing this. You know, we have no control, obviously, over whatever we get, but whatever we get, I'll be pleased with. So I appreciate your work on that, so.
Yeah.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our next order of business is discussion and possible action regarding development of a 2022 to 2026 infrastructure capital improvement plan.
All right, so this is related to the last item we just talked about. In doing the research on these grant funding opportunities, a common theme for either requirement or strong desire in the grant instructions is that the programs need to be already programmed into a 5-year plan for cities. I think the reason for that is that it shows that the city is committing to doing the project if they get selected, essentially. With CIPs, it's kind of sometimes a shell game with moving stuff around and whatnot, so it's kind of just a formality in my mind. But I think this also provides a good opportunity for us to think a little further in the future too about the projects that we want to kind of see going in our community. Not only the ones that we talked about, but also even for street maintenance and like mill and overlay projects and reconstruction projects and that kind of thing. So it's kind of checks the box for the grant applications, but also gets us thinking about other things that we plan to do in the future. So there's attached a draft, essentially, CIP for infrastructure projects for the next 5 years. If you look at the tables back behind, the local funding amount column matches the funding levels that we proposed at the July, whatever that was, city council meeting. Assuming that some extra funding was adopted in one form or another, not assuming where that's coming from, but assuming that it is there. The reason that I did that instead of just assuming kind of what we had been doing, like on an average year for the past 5 years, is that we need to show that we're matching the funds that are coming in from the federal government. And if I only had $1.3 million a year, it would be very difficult for me to show that we're matching all these projects with our money without, not doing anything else, with our street maintenance. So that's the reason why the funding levels are matching something that we haven't technically adopted yet. But when we get through the conversation about transportation utility or extra bonding or wheel tax or whatever, we can always revise this again. If we say we get through this conversation and we end up funding a higher level of CIP than what this has shown, we can obviously tweak this to match that. If we go lower, then we can tweak this to lower it. But this is kind of where we're starting at right now anyway. So with that, we'd be looking for any conversation about, any of the projects listed in the draft CIP, in general, are we on the right track? And any of the, I know Paul had something that he noticed in here to tweak, but, little things, big things, anything in between. So looking for that conversation tonight.
Yep, so I'm finding it now, Dean. So page 16, where it says 11th Street, and then it says parentheses, Wisconsin Street to 11th Street. I was confused
okay.
because it is 11th Street. I think, are you meaning 11th Street, Wisconsin to
Cooley.
Laurel, or
Wisconsin to Cooley is what I meant.
Wisconsin all the way down to Cooley, okay. And then where it says Laurel, right underneath that, it says Liberty Street to 11th Street. But then later, when you go down to Laurel, I think it's the next 2 pages maybe.
On page 17.
Yeah, it says, what does it say here? Laurel, 13th Street to 17th Street. So I think you mean 11th Street.
Yeah, I'll take a look at my spreadsheet to see which one I meant and where.
Yeah, I just know that neighborhood really well.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
He's leaving a big patch right in front of my house. It's nothing personal, right?
No comment.
Sarah, any questions, things that you're wondering?
Nope, no questions. I looked at it, so this is essentially your blueprint. You need this so that as you apply for grants, it shows that commitment
Yes.
that we have as
Yep.
a city, and this, it could change, but right now, this is where we're heading.
Exactly, yep. Yep, and we would need this if we applied for the STD Urban Grant, which is due on October 15th. So that's why we're kind of bringing it forward now, so that if we have major things to change, we still had a month to essentially do that and still get to council and approve it and that kind of thing. But if you feel comfortable with, apart from the minor changes we were just talking about, moving it forward to council.
Those are all the ones kind of that you've gone through the PACER scale and you're kind of starting.
Yeah, so if you look at the projects in particular, like the mill and overlay type projects and whatnot, they're on generally more of our major streets. There are a few like street maintenance projects in there that are on more residential streets, but they're on streets that are still in decent shape, and we want to kind of keep them that way.
Sure.
And then the rest of them are kind of the more major projects that the ones that we just talked about, and then also like some reconstruction projects like Locust downtown, I think is on there. And then a couple projects for, that are driven kind of by the sanitary sewer upsizing needed. So Namacoggin is one of them, and First and Buckeye, in the kind of south downtown area is one of those, so.
And I saw
Kind
there's,
of all that stuff, mix them in a bowl and here you go,
you had some alleys in there too.
There's a few alleys in there too, yep. It's kind of, we've focused on, more of the downtown alleys, because they're used more. I know there's plenty of alleys that are in rough shape around town, but, the downtown alleys are the ones that are used the most. And then also like I have one in there that's up by St. Patrick's, parking lot that gets used on a daily basis for staff and drop-offs and stuff like that. So, yeah, some of those busier ones was what we have identified in there.
So I was going to ask too, Dean, about I remember the colors with like the red infrastructure downtown, all those grids. My question was, does this hit enough of those downtown streets that need, I know because the sewers are really old, so that was my question.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, it does start in that direction, but it does, I will say that it does not address the full need of what we have down there. So it does hit, like Locust Street downtown is
Yep.
really in need, and I know you know that. We
And
have
Third Street and
repaving Walnut
Buckeye.
on that. We have
Yep.
Third Street up over the hill, but we
Yep.
don't
Yeah,
start
that's right.
talking about like
Yeah.
in that neighborhood or that side really at this point in time, and there's a lot of needs back there. And even on top of the hill, that area up there too has a lot of needs that aren't really talked about in this level of budgeting. Obviously, I would love to have more to work with, but the reality of the situation is one thing. So
And Dean, is this assuming the utility and wheel tax are in place or not in place?
it's assuming either the transportation utility and wheel tax are in place or the extra bonding we talked about in lieu of that. So yeah, like I said, the particular source is to be determined, but it is assuming something additional is happening over and above what we have been doing for the past, years.
And then my other question is, how flexible is this? I realize we're doing a kind of a 4 or 5 year layout here because we want the grants. That's part of what's spurning it. But there's also, you've had ideas. This isn't new. You've had ideas of what you want to do. But how flexible is it for adaptation in the future if we adopt it?
It's very flexible. It's really a document that council can update
Okay.
really as
I would
much as
say
they
it's-
want.
yeah.
And we usually do either yearly or bi-yearly CIPs anyway, so it's something that would come before this committee and the council on a regular basis anyway. But, even if we do adopt this now and then the funding levels change based on the outcome of our conversations with the community and that kind of thing, this can be updated right away. It's really just a document that guides what we do, and also, you're essentially telling us the projects that you feel we should be focusing on, so.
But so we can change the streets, for example, like we aren't committing to these are the exact streets we're gonna do in those 5 years? or-
Yeah, I will say that in a 5-year plan, the year that's closest to you is the year that's probably more locked in, because
Okay.
you gotta start, designing streets, and you gotta start doing all that kind of get stuff lined up. when you're talking about the 5th year out, like that's all, anything can happen at that point in time. So it's kind of more of a, like, on the horizon, but could be moved up or back, kind of depending
Okay.
on what happens. So
I
I'd say 2022 is pretty, we would want that to be pretty locked in.
So I'd say it's, we review the CIP, capital improvement plan, every other year when we start talking about bonding. And that's when we typically look at, the CIP and what's in there. The needs have changed over a 2-year period. A road has degraded faster than another one. We weren't able to get that funding for a project that we had listed in 23, so now let's bump that down to 24. The need is still there. So every time we go through a bonding cycle, that's when we really scrutinize at least the next 2 years, because once you set that 2-year bond, you're pretty much locked into those projects, right? And that's when we do that review at that time.
Yeah, you brought up a good point, Mike, that, if something's listed in here for, having state or federal funding and we don't get it, that's when we'd probably do it on an annual basis, say, okay, we applied for this, we didn't get it. We know we're not going to get it until at least, if we didn't get it in 23 at the 2-year cycle, so it's going to be at least 25 before we're able to get it again, that kind of thing. Move that there, move this up, that kind of thing. And we can do that on an annual basis and when we know when we've got, when we did yet or didn't get grant funding opportunities or that kind of thing.
That's what I was going to ask about too. I think you answered it, but 9th Street and Stage Line, which are one of our kind of like big 5, if they're not in the 3 grants, and I'm not seeing them here, like what happens to those?
They're not, identified for funding at this time, so that would be something that if we didn't get a grant for one project and we feel we can squeeze in, say, 9th Street or something, based on the money that we do have, projects can bump all the way up onto the plan, on a yearly basis, or fall all the way off, kind of depending on how it goes. It's a pretty fluid
That's the flexibility you're
document.
talking about. I just want to make sure we don't,
Yeah.
because I think that, those need a lot of work, and I'm just making sure we don't forget those in light of this. But it's not, what I hear you saying is, see how the grants go, see how the projects go. You can, on a every other year CIP level, add something in,
Reassess.
correct? Plus, we also don't really know about the funding with the potential utility fees or transportation utility fees, sorry.
Right.
So a lot of it's kind of moving parts, but am I right that if we pass this tonight, this will give you guys what you need to do the grant writing? That's kind of our primary purpose, and then we can always revisit this, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're looking for a motion to approve this proposed 2022 through 2026 infrastructure CIP?
Correct.
Okay.
Subject to any modifications that you came up with.
Did you have, so I should go ahead and make a motion, and then we can have discussion. Okay, I got it. So I make the motion that we approve the development of the 2022 through 2026 infrastructure capital improvement plan.
Second. Any discussion?
I feel like we have had a really good discussion. I can't think of anything else that I would like to ask. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next order of business is discussion and possible action on traffic safety on Chestnut Drive, which relates to what Tim and Joyce were talking about previously, so.
Yeah, so Public Safety Committee has been on this topic for quite a while now, and Joyce is on the committee. So Chestnut Drive is the street that runs, essentially connects the backside of the high school to the rest of the transportation network. It's used frequently by school buses, by traffic going to the school, and also a lot of walkers, bikers, in the neighborhood there. Just a quick measurement of the street, it's about 36 feet wide, face to face of the curb. It's Street parking is allowed on both sides, but not often utilized because people have driveways that they tend to park in on that street. Every so often, there's probably a car parked out there, but not enough to kind of create that narrowing effect to slow people down driving through there. And there are no sidewalks on either side of the street through that section, which is also part of the issue with the speeding and how that affects people who are walking, in particular the school children that are heading to the high school back there. So the Public Safety Committee and City Council approved changing the speed limits on Chestnut Drive to 15 miles per hour from Maple to the cul-de-sac. And then we did some data collection afterwards to see if that speed limit changed, in fact, changed speeds. And we found that it did not, essentially. In fact, the average speed slightly increased, which was frustrating. I'm not sure, what to say about that other than it was kind of surprising.
In spite of the new.
I don't know. That's a good question. So essentially, the moral of the story is that just posting the 15 mile per hour speed limit signs wasn't effective to control speed, and I'm not surprised that it didn't. So the Public Safety Committee discussed this at last week's meeting. They're now recommending to install 4 speed humps on Chestnut Drive between Maple and Ash to reduce the traffic speeds on Chestnut. The committee also recommended changing the speed limit north of Ash back to 25, so it essentially just be removing the 15 mile per hour speed limit signs, and I think there's probably only like 2 of them or something up there, so really not a big undertaking by any means. So it'd be from Maple Drive to Ash Drive would remain 15 miles per hour, and then with the speed humps also included. So the speed humps would be the kind of the temporary ones that would be installed in the spring and removed in the fall, so that we're not dealing with them for the snow in the winter time. So just a little information on the funding. Obviously, this is not a funded project right now, so we would need to identify, and Joyce mentioned that potential funding source might be council contingency, so we'll need to figure that out. The speed humps, the removable ones, are approximately $2,000 per speed hump, so for 4 it'd be about $8,000. And if we did deploy the speed humps out there, and we found that they're needed somewhere else or something, we can always move them because they're the temporary ones, so we can move them somewhere else if we needed to, or if we found we wanted them in a different configuration or something. That's the beauty of the flexible, the temporary ones. So there's that. So we've previously talked about, streets that make sense for speed humps. This street would, in my mind, be one that would make sense for trying it out because of the residential character of the street, the need to control the speeds out there. And I think it sounds like the neighboring community is generally supportive of trying to get speed lowered out there. So we would recommend approval of purchasing and installing the 4 speed humps along Chestnut Drive, and also changing that speed limit north of Ash back to 25 miles per hour. Obviously, all this contingent on identifying funding.
See, one question just for clarity. I just thought of this. That's kind of the major bus route from the back. Is that a concern at all as far as the buses going over that and hearing from them, or?
Well, part of the speeding issue, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the buses. And we, at least what's been discussed is we want to make sure that the buses are also adhering to that 15 miles per hour. There is more jostling of, students going up and down speed humps, but, so, it is a trade-off. I did mention that at the Public Safety Committee, and it seemed like the direction is still to pursue them, so.
Okay.
So a couple questions. So 4 speed humps, so explain this to me, are they like 2 in each direction? How are they spaced out? Like, how does this actually look?
Yeah, so the speed humps are essentially the entire width of the road, or close to the entire width of the road. We wouldn't be blocking the gutter drainage or anything like that, but essentially the full width of the pavement is where they would extend. So it'd be 4 full width speed humps down the road, that kind of thing.
So driving in one direction, do you hit 2 of them or you hit 4 of them?
You hit all 4 of them, yep, in either direction.
And how long is between, what was it, Chestnut and Maple, you said?
On Chestnut between Maple and Ash, yep.
So how long the
How long
stretch?
is it? How long is the
Is that
road?
2 blocks? Is that, what is it?
They're very long blocks. The stretch between Maple and Birch is maybe a more typical length block, but the stretch between Birch and Ash is pretty long. So I don't know what the exact dimensions of what it would be, but I felt there was enough space in there to get 4 in there. You also want them not so spaced out that people are going to go over it and then speed up again and then stop and go over it and then speed up and stop. You want them kind of a little more continual flow at that 15 miles per hour speed limit. So
And is this the same street that it would go from 15 to 25 miles per hour?
so the section that we were proposing to do the speed humps on is between Maple and Ash, and then so that's where the speed humps are, and then north of Ash is where we'd be changing back to 25.
Oh.
So it's 2 separate sections of the Chestnut Drive.
And what is the current speed where the speed humps would be placed?
15 miles per hour is signed.
So that would stay, in other words, it's the 25, once you're done with it, it would go up, okay. I was confused as to why we would be putting speed humps in and putting the speed limit
Yeah,
up at the same
no, that
time,
makes
so,
sense.
Yeah, north of Ash, there's a cul-de-sac.
okay.
And I didn't realize that there aren't any school children in that neighborhood right now. Although I just found out that 3 of the houses are going up for sale. So we may be putting those 15-mile-an-hour speed limit signs back up at some point. But at this point, there's no need for the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit there. But between Ash and Maple, yes, there's definitely a need for slower speeds.
That would stay at 15. And then what adheres the speed bump to the road?
I believe they're bolted down.
Okay.
I don't think it's glue or anything like that. I'm pretty sure they're bolted down.
So
It's like
somebody can't,
it's like a concrete anchor.
somebody can't just come up and like throw the
Peel
speed
them
bump
off,
in the back
yeah.
of the car and
No.
truck and, okay.
And with all the stuff going on with supply chains, how quickly do you think you would be able to get those in?
Great question.
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
I'm
If it's like
feeling-
That's a good
anything else, next spring, maybe?
That's
Yeah.
what I was worried about,
Yeah.
given that the school year is getting started. Like, maybe if we can't get them in a timely manner, is there another alternative? Because I do know the cars go very fast there, and perhaps I have maybe had children that have done that, maybe. So, just really wanting to make sure that we don't put
Yeah,
ourselves in a bad position.
assuming this all goes through, for approval at city council, we would look to order them as soon as possible, just so we could have some shot of deploying them before the winter hits. Even if we ordered it in a couple weeks from now, if we didn't get it for another 3-4 weeks or something, we still probably would have October that we could try them out there and maybe work through some of the bugs and that kind of thing. We could get some additional data and that kind of thing. So it wouldn't be useless to, still deploy them this fall, I think. Unless they're 8 weeks back ordered or something, then it probably wouldn't be worth it. to
If
put
it's
them
late
out until-
October, I probably wouldn't suggest putting, but it all depends on the supply chain, right?
Yeah.
We won't know until we actually contact some companies.
And I really do like the idea of being able to get data so we can see if it's effective and can be used in other parts of the city if we needed to.
What dates would you pull them out and then put them back in the spring?
I'd probably look to pull them out early November. Obviously, we can get snow in October, but it's rare. And then as far as deploying it, probably, mid to late April, I would think, would probably be a good target date. So you'd have, a full May, June, July, August, September, October, seven months out of the year that they'd be deployed.
Thanks.
Because the main thing is to get that school traffic, targeted, so try to keep them out as much as possible for school traffic.
It sounds like a good solution. It sounds like there's support for, in the local community there. The only question, Dean, I have left is, the 4 is like opposed to 3. Are there any guidelines that the state has for how how spread out they should be, or does 4, in other words, is 4 seem excessive for the area, or does 4 seem to fit the area, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
The first part of your question, the state, I do not believe, has any guidelines for that. I would say that, you know, a decent spacing for them is probably every like 200 to 300 feet, something like that. Your block, just for reference, like blocks down in the, you know, historic part of town are about 400 feet long, or, you know, 350 to 400 feet, something like that. When you get up to that area up there, the blocks start getting bigger. So you're talking like, I would guesstimate probably between Maple and Ash, you're probably at like 1,400 feet total or something like that. So if you had 4 of them spaced out evenly, that would kind of be in that 200 to 300 feet average, you know, distance. You don't want to space them out too much, like I said, to get, you know, to not have the effect you're intending, so to speak. If we purchase 4 and we found that, you know, maybe that's too much in there, we can always deploy the 1 somewhere else too, so.
Right.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we pursue the traffic safety with speed humps on Chestnut Drive and bring that forward to the council for approval.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Nice job, you guys. Discussion and possible action on proposed 2022 Public Works operating budget.
All right. So, obviously, in your packet, I included the draft budget, minus the detail. I guess where I want to start is, you know, every fall, bring this forward to Public Works Committee just to bring you up to speed on what I foresee being major, you know, whether it's increases or decreases in the budget and how that affects services. We are going through new financial software, so this is typically we kind of have a detail, aren't able to have that this time around, but let me first say that on the last page, I had printed some out on the last page, page 7. You can see, you know, the current budget this year was $1,948,669. The proposed budget is $2,043,792, which is a 4.8% increase. Okay. All right. That takes into account staff, health insurance, and any increases in the budget for level of services, whether it's paint, you know, anything, machinery, so on and so forth. All right, so now if you go back to the front, so the Public Works budget is a culmination of 7 or 8 smaller budgets. So on the first page, you can see City Hall. There's a chunk of City Hall. Then you go down to emergency government sirens, and then it's Public Works Administration, which is myself and Deb. Then it's machinery and equipment. Then it's the East Garage, West Garage, street maintenance. Snow and ice is a separate budget. I-94 and 35 is a separate budget. Street lighting is a separate budget, you know, so on and so forth. So each one of these is a separate budget. So previously we were able to kind of break each one of these out, and you could see like, okay, just for City Hall, we raised it X amount. Just for street markings, we raised it, and that's not how the software works, unfortunately. So it's kind of a little more overwhelming. It's looking at the big picture budget right at the end, which is that 4.8%. So I guess what I want to do tonight is obviously kind of just walk through the budget. And I don't know if we need to go line by line, but I want to just highlight, you know, some of the increases that I have in here. And then I kind of offset those increases to the best of my ability by just decreasing other line items by $1,000, $500 to try and not have a huge hit at the end. And then answer any questions that you have between myself and Deb. Deb's a wealth of knowledge. She knows account codes and like details on what, you know, what expense goes to which line item, so on and so forth. So if you have a question, that's what her and I are here for tonight. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions off the top?
No, I think just I think walk through and that'd be great, what you're saying.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so for City Hall, the biggest thing is, I wish you had a ruler. So it's just easier. Other professional services, 217. So last year we had, or this year I should say, had a budget of 22,000. Proposed budget is 25,000, and this is to kind of come into more alignment of what we actually have been spending. So other professional services include elevator maintenance. Every year we have to have an inspection on the elevator. It's sprinkler system. It's annual fire extinguishers. It's what else would be included in there, Deb?
Cleaning services, the floor.
The rugs, the Cintas rugs, our first aid cabinets, our AED,
HVAC.
the HVAC.
It's a big chunk of it.
Yep. Honeywell contract for keeping the furnaces, and they do a quarterly inspection. They change all of our filters, so on and so forth. So that would be included in that line item. So we did bring on this AED, which is hanging out on the wall here. Used to be ran by the EMS services, but they're no longer in existence. So we need to have something in line here, and Cintas provides a service where it's a monthly subscription. It wasn't a budget for this year, so it's budget for it in the proposed. Same thing with the first aid kits. We went to a more commercial first aid kit here. We just usually bought those ones from Walmart, and then they would expire. So this one here is more robust, and it gets serviced every month. As bandages and stuff are being used, it's being replenished. So we brought that service on board. So this kind of takes into account those services for next year. The other thing in that budget, as you can see, kind of lowered the electric utility by a couple thousand. Everything else looks like it stayed the same. Other operating supplies down 1,000 or 100. Yeah. So that's City Hall. All right. Any questions on City Hall?
So, and it's not a big dollar amount, but you're lowering it on utilities?
Yep.
Is that because you're getting new, more energy efficient? I mean, how are you thinking it's going to lower?
So if you look at, the previous year, so it'd be 2019, we only spent $12,000
But you weren't really here for,
in 2019.
2019, okay. Mhm.
And then the current actual this year is 8,000.
Okay.
So we're probably going to be around that 16,000 mark.
Okay,
So I just lowered it just to
Okay.
kind of come into alignment with what our actual expenditures are. We do have, the furnaces are newer, they are more energy efficient, which has helped that line item. I know before that it was a lot higher, to put it that way. But no, not, just basically coming to alignment with the
Okay.
expenditures. Yep. All right, so at City Hall, emergency government sirens. I need to talk to Scott. I don't know why I have this in my budget. I've been trying to get rid of this for the past couple of cycles, but right now it's still in there. But I think that's a conversation that we need to have with Aaron and Allison and Scott, and just see if it makes sense to move it to his, because he is the emergency management coordinator. He should have. I mean, I can zero out this service repair for sirens and make my budget look a lot better, but it really has no effect on me. So that one's kind of a TBD, to be determined. But, I did kind of just keep it in alignment with what had it been in previous years. Public Works Administration. So that's Deb and myself, and then some of our office supplies, so on and so forth. Nothing really major there to speak of. No raise, no increases in the budget to operating expenses. Other than memberships and subscriptions, which is number 324. So that went from $150 to $1,000. And the reason that I did that is looking to get Adobe Illustrator for our GIS department, which they would be able to do more detailed plans and specs for myself, for Dean, for any type of planning, whether it's the trail management plan, the outdoor rec plan, so on and so forth. So we don't have an Illustrator license in-house right now, and Nick O'Brien GIS made that request to me, and I thought it was a good thing to bring on board.
I'll also add,
Dean, or your expenses come out of here for your
I'm not sure about
Yeah,
that, but going back to Illustrator, that's also helpful to make things for like public engagement activities and stuff too, because you can make really crisp looking stuff
Professional,
with
like,
that.
designed,
And,
yeah.
yeah, now that we have a GIS person too,
Yeah.
he can use that for its hopefully full potential.
Yeah,
too.
we talked about having him have one and then Tiffany have one, but to begin with, I just think it's good to start out with just one, and let's just see how much we use it. It's an annual subscription, so, let's put it in there and like I said, we can always reassess it next year. So that's the increase there. Other operating supplies I zeroed out to kind of offset that expense. Okay, that's Public Works Administration. Any questions?
A lot of it seems like it's healthcare too. Healthcare increases that
Yeah.
we don't have any control over, so.
Yeah, a lot of it is his healthcare and staff cost increase. Public Works, machinery and equipment. The biggest decrease would be just removing monies from the service, repair, other machinery and equipment. Went from 35,000 down to 30,000, just to reflect, previous year's expenses. Tried to, like I said, I did increase a couple of line items in the budget. I don't know if you've seen that, but a substantial amount, and I'll get to the reason why I did that. So when I was going through it, I looked for opportunities to cut in other areas so that it wasn't a 10 or 12% increase. I kind of wanted to keep it around a 5%, make it be reasonable and feasible to do. Because I don't want to bring a budget to Aaron and have a 20% increase. He's just going to go, what can you take out? So I try to be realistic in my numbers when I bring them forward. So that's why. So Sarah, I don't want to pick on you, but you're the newbie to the group. Do you have any questions on, like, specifically for machinery and equipment, what comes out of each line item? So let's just say, service repair, let's just go through it. So service repair, other machinery and equipment. So that would be any type of service repairs to our equipment that can't be done by our in-house mechanics. So that would be when we have to take trucks over to Mac because of computer issue. Same thing with the loader, so on and so forth, where it's mainly due to electrical and computer problems that we're having to bring in the outside, because the equipment it's basically a computer on wheels nowadays. It's amazing how these things run. So that kind of covers that expense. Other contractual services are, repairs that we need, whether it's, broken rings on a tire, so on and so forth. So it's just another pool of money that we can use to help pay for equipment repairs. Correct, Deb? Am I saying that correctly? Supplies, other operating supplies, supplies, vehicles, those are just line items that we use to purchase tires,
Windshield wipers.
Miscellaneous parts.
miscellaneous stuff. Yeah. Same thing with machinery and equipment parts. So all these, are specific to our equipment and keeping them running and up to date. Okay. Good. Okay. Any questions on that, Paul?
Nope.
Okay. All right, let's go to East Garage Storage Shed. So increased laundry cleaning by $1,000. Basically to come into line with what we're actually spending. So laundry cleaning, we provide a uniform to our employees for them to utilize throughout the entire year, whether that's jeans, shorts, uniforms, so on and so forth. Service repair other East Garage Storage Shed, so increase that one by $2,000 from $4,000 up to $6,000 based upon what we had spent in 2019 and 2020. So in 2019, we spent $6,000. And then this year, we're already up to $7,500. As the building continues to age, we're having to call out whether it's furnace technicians or Blackhawk garage door to fix the garage door, so on and so forth. So it's just the the effect of being in an older building. That's all. Other than that, in the east garage storage shed, same thing with line item 353, increase from 1,500 to 2,500, $1,000 increase, basically to come into alignment what we're actually spending up there. So, like I said, these are all kind of smaller dollar amounts. The bigger ones are in street maintenance budget. So before I go on to the west garage, any questions on the east garage? Okay. West garage, which is off of Division Street, no real major changes to note. Increased one line item by 500, the gas. That's because we're running into situations, this is the same thing as last year, I had to bump this line item up, where we're not getting as much oil. We used oil to heat our shops, both the east and the west garage, and we're just not getting the amounts as we had previously gotten when we first put those in. How long ago, Deb? 8-10 years ago, probably, longer than that. It's just, I don't know, people aren't changing their oil as much at home, or there's just a lot more oil burners out there to run, but we're seeing a drastic decrease in our amounts. So I've had to increase our gas utility just so we can heat the garages, you know.
Hey, Mike, just a quick question for you. So as you're walking through this, what is your hope tonight?
So I guess what my hope is for you to obviously ask any questions on why this line item is so high versus another line item. But what I'm trying to get out of is just for you to approve the draft Public Works Committee, or Public Works budget, which would then go to Allison, and she enters it in. And then when it comes to budget time, I mean, this isn't, you'll have multiple times to comment on this budget, but I just want to get your, not rubber stamp it, but just your approval tonight to say, yeah, this looks good, let's move forward. 4.8% increase is palatable. If there's anything you want to see maybe be included in this, or if you have specific items that you're thinking of trying to serve the community with, make sure you let me know and I'll add that into the budget. That would be another opportunity to do. So stuff like that.
Okay, and I just, and I know this is, I'm probably jumping out of order, but I'm going to feel uncomfortable without having kind of looked at these numbers and kind of doing that. And I understand it's like preliminary.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is, since you're right, this is the first time I'm seeing it, that seems like I really want to make sure I've done my due diligence, but,
Yeah.
but I appreciate you going through this.
Okay. The biggest thing, Paul, and Paul's been on the committee he's the grizzled veteran here tonight. Obviously, I mean, if you want to chime in, you know, when it comes to the number, obviously we're looking at the big picture, and that's why I wanted to start out with the overall increase is 4.8%, because we've been directed, last year it was like 0%, right, because of 2020 and everything that happened there. Other years we've been directed to stay a 3% increase, a 2% increase, a 1%. So then I make the budget adjustments based upon what we're being told, whether it's, you know, the Public Works Committee, the mayor, finance, the city administrator, put together the budget based upon the needs that I'm seeing out in the field, whether that's more striping because our town is getting bigger and we don't have enough crews to stripe the whole city, taking care of snow removal, salt contract, that, you know, dictates there's always a price increase for salt every year. So that kind of gets adjusted in the budget, and I have to adjust other line items. So as a Public Works Committee member, you know, obviously you can get in the nitty-gritty details, and that's your prerogative if you want to do that. But I would just look at overall budget numbers, you know, where are we coming out in the end? Does that look good to you? I guess that's kind of how I would summarize it, Paul. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what I see in general is we don't have any control over health insurance.
Right.
Some of your biggest ones in here are health insurance.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of salary increases. I'm wondering, is that just kind of like across the board, we're going in that direction?
Yep.
Okay.
2%, isn't it?
Yep, usually 2%, but that's also, you know,
Right.
a directive of the finance committee.
Right.
And those discussions will be
Right.
had in the future, but it's assuming right now a 2%.
But almost everything else I'm seeing in here is if it went up somewhere, you're kind of trying to knock it down somewhere else to kind of keep it the same. So I mean, I read this overall budget just as mainly a healthcare and a slight, like inflationary increase for salaries, right?
The two ones that I actually wanted to point out are on the back side of page 3. It'd be page 4. It's gonna be under street maintenance. So it's the 299 number. Public Works General Street Maintenance. Do you see that? Other contractual services.
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
Okay, so that went from, I put $30,000 in there, and that's a big bump compared to the $15,000 budget that I have this year. And this is directly related to striping, paint striping. We have one dedicated crew that stripes the city, okay? It used to be that they could get to approximately half the city every other year. And that's crosswalks, that's, skips, parking lanes, so on and so forth. And over the last 2 years, we've brought in Carmichael Ridge, Lee Property, Bellow Rose, so on and so forth. It's gotten to the point where they're struggling getting like a third of it painted now. And it used to be that we would hire out Century Fence or AAA to come in and do our long stretches. We purchased a unit, a cart unit that we were able to do that in-house, so I gave it a try this year. And they can do it, our staff can do the long stretches, but it just takes away from the other painting that needs to happen, whether it's in the downtown area or around the school, so on and so forth. So I'm proposing to bring back in a outside company to again take over striping responsibilities for our main arterials, whether that's Cooley, Crestview, Carmichael, Vine, and they have the equipment, the safety equipment to do it correctly and safely. Otherwise, it's just my two guys out on a cart, coming in at 2 o'clock in the morning and striping Carmichael Road. So it's not really the most efficient or safest way to do it. So that's that big increase there. And then down below, a couple line items below, 481 is bituminous mixes, increase that by $5,000, and that's in correlation to the new spray patch unit truck that we're going to be receiving here this fall. So council approved the purchase of a spray patch truck, which basically takes our spray patching operations from a 2-man down to a 1-man operation. It also makes the operation a lot more efficient, so we're able to cover more streets and go through more material, which would mean more money to do. So that's where that increase comes from. And then the rest of the budget, I mean, obviously, those are the two major changes. Salt stayed the same. We're in a good spot. Our salt shed is completely full. So we didn't have to up our allotment from the state for salt. So I didn't have to raise the budget there, which is a good thing. Other than that, everything else stayed the same or within, $500 to $1,000 of what I had budgeted this year. So those are the two major ones that I wanted to point out. And then like Paul said, the other major increases are related to healthcare and staff.
So just kind of thinking about, you had mentioned if we had stuff that we wanted to make sure that we saw, a few questions. So if we are able to move forward with composting, would that somehow impact this in some way? I know is there room to put something like that in there? If there were some.
If it's the curbside, that would be
That's all
a direct
accrued by
user fee.
a user fee, so no.
Yep, nothing on
aspect.
the operating that would come out of that.
So if something didn't work with waste management and we had to explore some other alternatives that would be city, that would be something that would be in here.
Yes.
Okay.
Although that would about come out of the refuse and recycling budget.
Yeah, and it would usually, if there was a grant involved, it would just be assigned to that, to that same operating budget, but.
Yeah. It would more than likely come out of this
A little bit ahead of
operating
time
budget.
if you think that's got to be included. If there's going to be any city costs involved, so.
Yeah. Well, and I think at that point, it would probably be the following year realistically, because we're going to try to go through waste management in spring, so. Okay, so that was one question, and, you know, I am wondering a little bit, I know I've heard from a lot of people that live downtown and who have major concerns about our river and the chemicals that we're using. Just wondering, you know, I don't know if that's something I should talk to you about after here, or and explore options. You certainly are the expert, not me, but looking for alternatives that are more environmentally sound. I know you've taken some steps, but maybe what's the next level then?
So all those expenses, you're talking about treatment of our parks facilities, so those come out of the parks budget, specifically
Okay.
Grandview, Lakefront, and then just general. We have 3 separate parks budgets,
Okay.
and that's where those expenses are. So
Okay.
you can certainly reach out to me after this meeting. We can
Okay.
discuss those options.
Yeah, and the right-of-ways that are taken care of are very minimal, but
Yeah.
that comes out of streets,
Okay,
so.
Yep.
okay.
So we hire True Green to treat our medians, like on Carmichael, Crestview. That comes out of this budget.
Okay,
Yep. Yeah, certainly reach out with any questions that you have about those
Okay.
concerns. Yeah, and I'll be happy to answer them.
perfect.
Any other questions, Sarah?
Not that I can, it's a lot to take in. It's not that I necessarily am wanting to do any micromanaging, but it's a lot to take in. But I hear you saying that this is just super preliminary. This is going to go through a lot more. So, perfect, okay. Just getting my agenda back up so I can make sure
This is only one of them. I have Parks, Storm, what
Yeah,
else?
you get storm.
Your stormwater's in here somewhere,
Are you
isn't
doing
it?
storm next month or October?
I'll probably bring it forward next month.
Yeah.
Utility, yeah.
Has to be
Okay.
done every year.
Okay. So I make the motion that we continue moving forward with the proposed 2022 Public Works operating budget.
Second. Any discussion?
No.
All
No
in
more.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Looks like no old business on the agenda, so we'll do project updates, State Highway 35.
Dean can deliver the good news.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Did you have
well.
to say that?
So,
no.
we're in, well, not that it hasn't been busy already, but we're really in a busy stretch of the Highway 35 project as it pertains to Hudson itself. As everyone knows, right now, we're really commencing the downtown work right now. So they milled off the surface on the west half of the road, so the southbound lane. Last week, they are looking to pave the first layer of pavement tomorrow out there, and then the second layer of pavement on Wednesday. After they do that, they're gonna shift the northbound traffic over to the southbound lane, and then do the same thing on the other side. They were a little concerned initially as to what they would find for like deteriorating joints and that kind of thing underneath the top layer. Sometimes what happens is the top will look all right, and then once you remove that pavement, then the bottom started to crumble a little bit. I guess that's the thing with concrete pavement. And so thankfully they didn't find that in many cases out there that they were concerned about. So things are moving along in that regard. They've told me this for a number of weeks. I'm not sure if I believe them yet, but they're supposed to be getting the concrete work on the east side of the road done this week. But really, if they're going to be milling and paving, they really have to have that done very soon. So I really hope that that's the case this week.
They were out there in full force today.
Yeah. So it's looking like the downtown work will probably be wrapped up in, say, 3 or so weeks from now. All things considered, well, if it rains and stuff and we get that kind of stuff going on, then it might delay things back. Or if we find that we do have bad joints or something on the east side of the road, that can throw things back. But, assuming the same progress as happened on the west half of the road happens on the east side, we're probably looking at about 3 or so weeks of being out of the downtown area, which is
So that's through Vine Street? Is that what you're
Yep,
thinking?
through Vine Street, yep. north of Vine Street, they are going to be doing the 2 travel lanes of pavement, concrete pavement, starting on Thursday this week. Initially, that was supposed to be starting today, and I'm not really sure what moved them back, but they just told us today it's Thursday, scheduled for Thursday for the travel lanes. So that would be coming all the way from Division down to Vine Street is where they'll be doing that work. And then a week later, they'll be coming back and doing the remaining parts of the curb and gutter and filling in essentially the parking lane of concrete there too. So, it takes time for concrete to set up to be able to drive on it again. And then we also got thrown in that the closure of access to North Hudson for the utility work at Division Street and North Street, and then also South Street and North Hudson. That is looking to start on the 23rd, right after Pepperfest is done. We had a long powwow about that today at our weekly meeting. Initially, they had it scheduled for the week of the 23rd to be closed, then it'd be open for a week, and then closed again the week of Labor Day. We were trying to get them to condense that into the weeks of the 23rd and the 30th to be done by Labor Day, hopefully with the closures. We'll see if that comes to fruition. Really, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, as much as maybe I can't see it at this point, but by the time Labor Day rolls around, if the things, if the projections hold true that are looking like we're shooting for right now, pretty much everything south of Division Street should be wrapped up or very close to wrapped up by Labor Day. So that'll be, I think, welcome news to everybody downtown. After the closures of access to North Hudson are done around that Labor Day weekend time, then traffic will be down to 1 lane, taking turns with the signal for a while going into North Hudson. So it'll probably end up being until sometime in October. So that's the work in North Hudson will not be complete until sometime this fall. They still have more work to do up there. They're mostly done with the utility stuff, but they are just less far along than we are in Hudson. So just for anybody who's trying to get to North Hudson after the closures are done, you'll be able to get there, but it'll be still kind of
A detour.
It won't be so much of a detour anymore. There'll still be technically a detour signed for non-local traffic, but for locals getting to North Hudson, it will be significantly delayed because it's only going to be open for 1 lane taking turns with the signal. So not 1 lane in each direction, 1 lane taking turns. So during peak hours, that's going to be backed up. We're trying to get the traffic back onto 2nd Street by that time, so it's not, the poor souls on 3rd Street that have to deal with those backups or anything like that. So we're working on that too. So
I'm sorry, I wasn't following you with the
Okay.
dates. So say that again. So the 1 lane, that will be with the stoplights,
Yep.
correct?
Then that is after the full closure period is
That
done.
is after the full
Yep.
closure,
Yep. So it'll be essentially after Labor Day.
after Labor Day. And
So,
that,
yeah, the full closure is scheduled the week of the 23rd and then the week of the 30th,
okay. got-
essentially.
So, and that, with the stoplight, the 1 lane, that is likely to be the case all the way into November.
Don't know exactly when that's going to be done. I just know that it is going to take some time. It's always easier to construct a street when it's closed fully. When you're having to deal with traffic and the construction at the same time, it just slows things down. In particular, in that area, there's not a lot of space to be working to begin with, so that's what's going to take the most time. It's just kind of the dinking around aspect of everything through there. So I don't want to give it time because they really haven't told us what they think yet, and also, there is a lot of, contingency. Hopefully everything goes well, but if it doesn't, it might take a while to get done, so.
So beginning next week, the 16th, which is next Monday, the big message boards that you see out on I-94 or up in North Hudson are all going to state, something to the effect of bridge out beginning August 23rd.
Okay,
So they're going to give a week's notice to those people using that corridor or
And those
whatever.
boards are going to get moved to the closure area. So they're gonna
Okay.
move up to essentially Division Street and then
okay, there
across
you
the
go.
river in North Hudson.
To give people advance notice, because come the 23rd, they're not gonna be able to get through there.
Yep.
Right,
It'll be very hard. You're not gonna go through there.
It's a
It's
hard
gonna be
closure.
closed.
yeah.
So,
They are gonna, I don't know if I want to say that. They do have to keep access for local, like, people that own homes in that area.
In that
Yeah.
spot,
Yeah.
kind of like.
North
the-
Street, Division Street, but that's about it.
Yeah. I will say this, there has been a lot of confusion down on Second Street, so much so that like sometimes cars stop in the middle of the road because they're not sure what to do. And so, you know, I have gone out when I've seen that,
Okay.
but it has happened a number of times that they're not sure where to go.
is it that they're coming northbound and they aren't able to turn left for a while, so they don't know how to turn left? Is that
I
most
think
of the confusion?
The ones that I have seen are people where they actually think they're driving in the wrong spot. They're
okay.
fearful that they have crossed where they're supposed to go.
Okay. I'll pass that along. I know they were talking in the meeting this morning that with all the operations going on out there, cones get moved and barricades get
I'm
moved
sure.
and that kind of thing, and they need to stay on top of that to make sure everybody knows where they're supposed to go and stuff, and it probably could be
You're
better.
talking specifically downtown.
Right, yep,
Okay.
yep. I've seen it a few times on Second Street
Mm-hmm.
in that from Walnut to Locust is where I kind of have seen it,
Yeah.
so.
I will also say too that the intersection at Cooley, Buckeye, and Second by Dairy Queen, that intersection will be closed for a few nights for doing road work there as well. And they are getting some signage and stuff to let people know, especially up on Cooley, to not come down the hill and, you know,
Sure.
that kind of thing. So,
Kind of later hours when they're going to close it? or-
yeah, I believe it starts at 7 PM and goes till 7 AM is the
Okay.
period that they're allowed to do. So we're not exactly sure when that's gonna be yet. It'll probably still be a couple weeks at least before that happens. And like I said, it's at night, so it shouldn't
Okay.
be as big of an impact as it would be during the day. you know,
Yeah,
that kind of
I do
thing.
know there's some businesses on there that could be impacted by that are
Yeah,
open till
the
9.
restaurants and bars might be
That-
impacted
yeah.
the most, yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
It's kind of an unfortunate, something has to happen because the work's gotta get done kind of thing, so we're trying to mitigate that by giving people enough notice to know that this is going to be happening, you know, on a certain day and that kind of thing. We just don't know what that day is yet, so, yeah.
Dean and Mike, do you guys know if, I'm thinking of EMS, like if Lakeview knows that they're notified about those closures so they can, okay,
Yeah, we've been in communication with fire, EMS, police.
perfect, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, during the closure period in North Hudson, EMS, North Hudson is actually getting service out of Stillwater
That's what I was
during
thinking,
that
yeah.
closure period.
Yep.
Our fire department is probably going to station somebody over in North Hudson during the closure period, just in case they're needed up there. Scott has been good at bothering me to make sure that he knows when that's going to happen, so that's that's good. I mean, North Hudson has their own police force, so, you know, they're ready for it too. But
Yep.
yeah, they've made plans accordingly, so.
All right, anything else on that, or is that good?
I think I'm good, unless
Okay.
anybody has any more questions.
I think I'm good. 2021 street maintenance program update?
So the contractor, Farner Asphalt Sealers, they completed the crack filling portion of the project last week. They are moving into the chip seal portion of the project, actually starting tonight on Crestview Drive, and you should have gotten that notice from me about the closures for the news release there. So tonight is when they're closing between O'Keefe and Carmichael Road for doing the chip seal portion of it. The road will be reopened in the morning. It'll be, people will be driving on it for probably a couple weeks before they close it again to do what's called a fog seal, and that essentially just locks in the aggregate after they've swept it a couple times and that kind of thing. So that is, I believe, scheduled for the 23rd. is
When's the initial sweeping? Isn't it on Thursday? Are they gonna sweep on Thursday?
Yeah, I believe it's about 3 days after the chip seal goes down is when they start sweeping. They'd have 2 street sweepings, one initially in that 3-day period, and then one right before they do the fog seal, so. Yep. So if anybody's watching and drives through that area all the time, it'll probably look like it's a gravel street for a couple of weeks, just because there'll be, you know, that gravel down there for the chip seal portion of it. Over time, with the traffic pounding it down, it'll get seated in there really well, so that they can, you know, by the time they get to fog sealing, it'll be really well compacted, and hopefully it'll hold up to the traffic loads for the next, you know, generally 7 years or so is kind of what we try to get out of these kind of projects.
When's
So
the closure tonight? What time?
starts at 11 p.m. until 7 a.m. the next morning. Yep. So that project, the completion date is right before Labor Day. So in the next couple weeks, that'll be wrapped up.
Very good. Anything on communication or items for future agendas?
Yeah, we have one. So at the meeting this morning with the state, once they start beginning work on Division Street, from Division Street to South Street, North Hudson, the contractor is requesting that work hours be extended. Right now, we have a 7 to 7 agreement with them.
Yeah, so right now it's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for any new construction, and then they can use the next hour, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to clean up and prepare for the next day.
So they are requesting, and this is gonna go in front of council on Monday, but I just wanna give you a heads up that they're requesting a 6:30
6:30 to 9 p.m.
9 p.m. hours of operation in that area, just so that they can get in and get out of those intersections as fast as possible and get the work completed, instead of trying, you know, it's such a high impact area that we want to try and limit the amount of impact to do, you know, to traffic as much as possible. So that request came this morning from the contractor, so that'll be on council on Monday.
I'm sorry, and what dates are those again that they'd like to do that? Start beginning when?
No, it would start on the 23rd.
The
It would
23rd.
it'd be correlate with the 2-week road closure,
Okay.
week of the 23rd and week of the 30th.
And they haven't really used many Saturdays? I had thought that they were going to do some work on Saturdays, but I haven't noticed that.
They will be during this closure period for sure.
Okay.
That's essentially, the closures are 2 7-calendar day periods.
Okay.
So they actually may be working on Sundays during the closure period too, but just to get it done.
So it's 6:30 a.m. to 9 p.m.?
Yes, yep.
Okay, anything else for communication?
That's all I got.
Any motion to adjourn?
I make the motion that we adjourn.
I would second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys. Thanks,
Thank
gentlemen.
you.